Story. The sun was just beginning to rise over the rolling hills of maize, casting a soft, golden hue over the small village. Birds chirped as they flitted between palm trees, and the morning breeze whispered through the lush greenery. It was market day, and Eringa, with her strong hands and determined heart, prepared for her weekly journey to the village square. She had done this many times before, yet today felt different. Eringa was known for her resilience. Every week, she would harvest cassava from her small plot of land, carrying it on her head to the bustling market in the center of maize. Her life was not easy, but it was filled with purpose. Eringa had something, or rather someone, who gave her the strength to keep moving forward, her daughter, Amoka. Amoka was the light of Eringa's life, the one joy that made all the hard work bearable. At just 16, Amoka had grown into a beautiful young woman. Her skin glistened like the rich, dark earth after rain, and her smile could warm even the coldest of hearts. She had her mother's strength, but her spirit was gentle and kind, a rare combination in a world where hardship was often the only teacher. The village of Mbez had taken notice of Amoka's beauty. Men from neighboring villages had already begun to ask for her hand in marriage, but Eringa was protective. She knew that Amoka was destined for something greater, something beyond being a wife to just any man. She had dreams for her daughter. And although she did not speak of them often, there was one secret hope Eringa held close to her heart. In the royal palace, not too far from the market, there was a young prince named Chimobi. He was the son of the king, a man of strength, wisdom, and wealth. Chimobi was unlike most princes. He was kind and thoughtful, always finding time to walk through the village, speaking with the common people and learning their stories. The villagers admired him, not just for his status, but for the way he carried himself, with humility. And though he had not yet chosen a bride, whispers spread through the village that he was soon to be married. That morning, as Eringa wrapped her bundle of cassava in cloth, her thoughts drifted to Amoka. Her daughter was not just beautiful, she was intelligent and graceful. Eringa had noticed the way Chimobi's eyes lingered on Amoka during the village celebrations. There was something in the air, something that Eringa could not quite place but could feel deep in her bones. By the time Eringa and Amoka reached the market, it was already alive with the sounds of traders haggling, children laughing, and the clatter of goods being exchanged. Eringa set up her stall, carefully arranging the cassava in neat rows. Amoka, as always, stood by her side, smiling at passers-by and helping her mother sell their goods. Just as the day reached its peak, a star began to ripple through the market. People whispered and pointed toward the road that led to the palace. Eringa turned to see what was causing the commotion. A royal entourage, led by none other than Prince Chimobi himself, was making its way through the market. The prince was known to visit the market from time to time, but today, something felt different. His gaze seemed focused, purposeful. As Chimobi approached, Eringa's heart raced. She could feel Amoka stiffen beside her. The prince stopped in front of their stall, his eyes meeting Amoka's with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. "Good day, Eringa," he said, his voice deep and smooth. He smiled at her, then turned to Amoka. "And to you, Amoka." Amoka's cheeks flushed, but she held her head high, meeting his gaze with the grace that Eringa had always admired in her. "I have heard much about the quality of your cassava, Eringa," Chimobi continued, though his eyes never left Amoka. "But today, I am not here for trade. I have come with a question." The market seemed to hold its breath. Eringa's heart pounded in her chest. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her, as if the entire world had narrowed to this one point in time. "I have watched your daughter from afar," Chimaobi said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "And I have come to ask for her hand in marriage." Gasps erupted from the surrounding crowd. Eringa stood frozen, her mind spinning. This was the moment she had secretly dreamed of, but now that it was here, it felt surreal. She looked at Amoka, who stared wide-eyed at the prince, her lips parted in shock. Chimaobi waited, his expression earnest. "I know this is sudden," he added gently, "but I have felt a connection with Amoka that I cannot ignore. I believe she is destined to be my queen." The words hung in the air like the soft hum of a distant drum. Eringa felt a swell of pride rise in her chest, but with it came a wave of uncertainty. The life of a queen was not an easy one. Could Amoka handle the weight of such a responsibility? Could she bear the scrutiny and the demands that came with being a royal? Amoka, sensing her mother's hesitation, reached out and gently touched her arm. "Mama," she whispered, her voice trembling but filled with resolve, "this is my path." Tears welled in Eringa's eyes. She knew, in her heart, that Amoka was right. This was her destiny. With a deep breath, Eringa turned to Chimaobi, her voice steady but full of emotion. "If my daughter is happy, then I give you my blessing," she said softly. The crowd erupted in cheers, but for Eringa, the words seemed to fall silent. In that moment, she saw the future unfold before her, Amoka standing beside Chimaobi, not just as his wife, but as a queen, a leader. Her daughter had grown beyond the simple life they had known, and though it filled Eringa with both pride and sorrow, she knew it was right. As the prince took Amoka's hand, leading her toward the palace, Eringa watched them go with a heart full of love. The market continued to buzz around her, but for Eringa, time seemed to stand still. She had given her daughter to the future, to a life far beyond anything she could have imagined. And as she turned back to her store, wiping away a tear, she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, Amoka would always carry the strength of her mother.